Namaskar, Shubhodaya, good morning. Welcome to Vibe Summit 2025. I'm Astha Sharma, founder of Veris, and your host for these 2 days. Honestly, I'm buzzing with excitement. You know what's fascinating about this room? 6 months ago, most of the conversations happening today were actually very, very theoretical. Today, we are talking about production deployments, real ROI numbers, actual business outcomes. That's the pace we're moving at. Why? Why are we all here? Well, Vibe exists because we wanted to do something different. Real people solving real problems with real AI applications that you can actually implement. Think of today as the world's most productive group therapy session for everyone trying to figure out AI. Because let's be honest, we are all still figuring it out. And that's perfectly fine. Let me first tell you about the incredible team behind today and these couple of 2 days. Upekkha is our organizing force. They've been quietly building what founders call India's YC for 8 years now. They worked with 160 plus startups and 300 plus founders, generating over $80 million in annual recurring revenue. We're also incredibly grateful to SaaSBoomi as our strategic partner. They've been the beating heart of India's SaaS and now AI ecosystem, with over 4,000 plus communities, 4,000 plus startups and 6,000 plus founders. We'd also like to thank X to 10X as a knowledge partner, bringing their deep expertise in helping startups scale, learn from their own journey building Flipkart. Now, what to expect today? In the morning, we're exploring AI innovation with people who are actually doing it, making mistakes, learning fast, and they're happily and willingly sharing those lessons with all of us. Afternoon, you pick your track. Healthcare, banking, energy, insurance, consumer tech, manufacturing space, we've got a lot of ground covered. Throughout the day, you'll find some incredible startup booths showcasing solutions you can start using Monday morning itself. These are working products solving real problems. One request, be generous. Be generous with your questions, with your failures, with your insights. You never know, the person sitting right next to you might just have the breakthrough you've been looking for. So ready? Let's get started. First up, I want to introduce someone who's been at the forefront of building technology ecosystems. Prasanna Krishnamoorthy, managing partner at Upekkha, brings a unique perspective to today's conversation. He has been working with founders across the spectrum, from early stage startups to companies generating significant enterprise revenue. Prasanna has watched founders navigate complex challenges and turn them into competitive advantages. His work spans the full journey from idea validation to global scale. Please welcome Prasanna Krishnamoorthy, managing partner, Upekkha.
Thank you, Asta. So, folks in the back, can you hear me? Awesome. Great. So, one of my favorite cartoons online is about a couple of aliens. And they're sitting in the park, and they're just talking to each other when they realize that both of them are collectors. And so one of them says, hey, what do you collect? And the other one says, I collect answers. And the other one says, what do you collect? And he says, I collect questions. And so it becomes very weird because one of them says, hey, answers are very nice to collect because they help you do things. Because without answers, how do you make decisions and how do you know what to do? And the other says, well, but answers expire. Answers don't stay correct all the time. Right? So I thought it's like very, very appropriate in the time that we are in. Because what's happening is we all thought that before LLMs, that generating answers is a great skill for us to have. And most of us as folks who have studied in the Indian education system, we are taught that, the right answer at the right time, written the right way, will get you places. And then suddenly we see LLMs, and what do? They throw all manners of answers at you. They can throw you very large answers, which for the most part seem to be right. And then suddenly we are stuck because we need to find the right questions, right? And when we find the right questions, it's very powerful because we can use the same question over and over again. A lot of times, all of us get stuck to our answers. And time changes, the answers lose their context, they lose their meaning, but we stay attached to those answers, right? And we are not fast enough because we are attached to the answer, and sometimes we are so attached to the answer that we forget the question itself. But if we are attached to the questions instead of the answers, the problems instead of the solutions, we can let go of the answer that is right now and come back to the question, and with a beginner's mind, look for questions that can help you make the next set of decisions, right? So today and tomorrow, what we are looking at is, we are in such a time of rapid change that most days I can't even finish reading the previous day's changes in AI, and there are more that have come in today. Somebody announces a price drop, and then somebody else announces a price drop, and before I know it, the first person is announcing a price drop again. All of us thought we were intelligent and we would get highly paid for our intelligence, but the price of intelligence seems to be falling by 95% a year. Thankfully, hopefully, most of our salaries are not adjusted to the inflation or the negative inflation or the deflation of intelligence, right? If all of our salaries were attached to the deflation of intelligence, then I think a lot of us will be in trouble. So with that, what we're trying to do today and tomorrow is, there are things that are timeless. And so, Simon will be talking from the time of Sun Tzu to cutting edge AI. And Professor Saras today evening will be talking about how do we deal with uncertainty, right? Because uncertainty is all around us. Uncertainty is shaking things up at a very core level. So if you're able to deal better with uncertainty, then we'll be better off in life. So these two things are timeless, in the sense that no matter where you are, who you are, where you are in your life, what's going on outside, these skills are timeless. And then in between, we have practitioners who are on the ground, the CXOs, the founders, who are dealing with the rapid change in AI. And they're telling you things that might have not worked yesterday, might work today, and might work better tomorrow. And that is something that only people who are in the field, getting their hands dirty, doing things, will be able to tell you. So this is the two types of things that we are doing a barbell with: the timeless stuff and the immediate stuff. And I hope that you all get value out of both of them. So I'm just going to quickly bring up 6 questions that are timeless and will hopefully get all of you through the next 2 days thinking about these questions. Each of these panelists, each of the speakers may have a different opinion about an answer to this question, but that's where the context comes in, right? And we all know today that with LLMs, context is king. So what context you give it from whatever rag is there, what question you ask, and will determine what kind of an answer you get, okay? So the first question is about constants. So most of you would have seen this Jeff Bezos quote. Jeff Bezos frequently gets the question of what's going to change in the next 10 years. And he says, hey, that's not the most interesting question to ask. The question to ask is what's not going to change in the next 10 years. Until now, the rate of change was not so high. But with AI, the rate of change seems to be incredibly high. And so many people, or some people may think AGI has already come. Some people may think that AGI is coming. Some people may think that AGI is not possible. But as founders, as CXOs, as leaders, we have to think about a future. If this comes, what will still not change? And what will not change? Jeff Bezos says that a retail customer will still want selection, a lot of selection. They will still want low price, and they will want convenience. That does not change whether there is AI or not. as individuals, all of us in our work, we are looking for meaning, we are looking for impact. That will not change whether there is AGI or ASI or whatever it is that comes. So in each of our businesses, as a startup or otherwise, we have to focus on what does not change. And if we get into that and figure out for our customers what will not change, what will they continue to value and what will they continue to pay for, that is something that we can then build and take to market. And purpose and values are becoming more critical than ever. Because when we look at AI, what values, what purpose it has is something, it's a black box, right? Because even with the open weight kind of LLM model, when we don't know what data has been used to train it, we will not know what values it has. We will not know why it is answering something in a certain way. And so psychologists and others are using problems like the two trolley problem to say, hey, does this LLM have values that we can align to, right? And so the alignment question of the LLMs becomes very important. So a year ago, trying to get AI to work was merely about, does it give me the answers I want? Is it accurate? Is it precise? All of that stuff. Today already EU is putting in regulations, people are putting in regulations saying, hey, you know what, the AI has to align to what the broader regulations are. But Simon will talk about something where we also have to think about, as a society, is AI giving answers that are aligned to what we want as a broader society, right? Otherwise, we are going to have challenges because I don't know how many of you have seen Dune, the movie, but there is a Butlerian jihad there. And the Butlerian jihad says, thou shalt not make a machine in the image of a human mind. And so they have a civilization 25,000 years from now or whatever, which does not allow machines to think. Because does the machine, when it thinks, have the same values and purpose as you do? And also important is evaluation. So we may think that, hey, we are going ahead with a purpose. We are using this intelligence and AI for a purpose. But do we know whether it's actually working? And so evaluation of what the AI is doing was different a year ago, is different now, and will be different a year from now. And we have to be able to think about it from the question perspective and not get stuck to, hey, it is 10% better or 25% better, because the whole context itself might change. And all of us, at some point in time in our lives, we are trying to do something that is impactful to society. We are trying to do something that is impactful to the people around us. And we are trying to work with good people to do great things, right? But at the same time, that AI is amplifying the things that we want to do well, which is, as an example, from a medical perspective, from an education perspective, from a local language perspective, from a urban-rural perspective, many of the things that people need to live and survive, we are only like scratching the surface from a demand perspective. Maybe we are serving 5% of the demand, 10% of the demand. So many areas where so many things are not available, right? Like medical treatment, for example. We will meet Tricog, who has changed the way that ECGs are done remotely and brought and saved so many lives across rural parts of the world where radiologists are not available. So we can amplify the good that we do. But at the same time, there is a lot of amplification of the bad as well, right? There is so much more noise. Any of you who are on LinkedIn must be getting tens of requests, which are all looking good, much better than they used to a year ago, but it's just so much noise. And every social media is now full of AI videos, AI written blog posts, AI written posts, and we have no idea whether these are real or not. And unfortunately, people thought that when fake news comes, everybody will try to figure out what is fake news and what is not fake news. But what has happened is people are now distrusting all news. And so if AI-generated content becomes very high, instead of people trying to discern what is real and what is not, if people simply start rejecting all evidence, then our society will look and feel very differently, right? So each of us has a responsibility to make sure we are amplifying the good with AI and not amplifying the noise and the bad with AI. Human agency is critical. Agency did not need a qualifier 2 years ago. If it is agency, it is understood that humans are the only people who can have agency, right? But now we are talking about human agency because more and more decisions might be made by machines. And if machines are making these decisions, again, the question of values comes in. What values does that machine have? And no matter how good the model is, are there some decisions which are tricky and there is no right answer to those decisions, which must be made by humans? Now, here again, there becomes a balance. If you're only able to serve 5% of, let's say, the medical needs today on the planet, and AI helps us get to 40% or 50% or 80%, we may not have the capacity to make all these decisions by humans or figure out how to put humans in the loop for doing this. So then what happens? Does the decision get delayed? Does the decision get stopped? All of those things are going to become more and more critical because let's say a year ago or 2 years ago when reasoning first came, AI, LLM could only reason for a few seconds at a time. Today, it's able to reason well, accurately, precisely for a few minutes at a time. In a year from now, an AI will be able to reason well for maybe an hour at a time. I don't know about you folks, but at least for me, I cannot sit and think about something for an hour, right? It's very hard. Maybe 12th standard exams, we could sit and focus for 3 hours, but these days I can't. And so for most of us, an AI is going to be able to think more deeply about a given context, a given situation. Let's say there's a patient and we have to determine whether to have an operation for them or not, and it's urgent. We won't be able to necessarily apply that cognition at that point of time, and maybe there's not even a qualified doctor in that place at that point in time. So then who makes that decision? Do we hand it over to the AI because that's the only qualified decision maker there? And who decides what is a qualified decision maker? All of these things will lead to us having to grapple more and more with this kind of a question rather than just giving everything away to the AI. And accountability. The AI is going to make mistakes. When it makes mistakes, who pays for it? Who learns from those mistakes? And who stands accountable? So one way to think about it is, a year or two ago, you could just bury a disclaimer of, hey, I have some machine learning running, or I have some AI running. It uses some data, it does some stuff. It'll be in your terms and conditions. Nobody reads it, nobody cares, things happen, right? But then last year, Air Canada screwed up in a chatbot, and we saw what kind of media came for that. And so that is going to become more and more prevalent. So who pays when the AI makes a mistake? Is it the customer? Is it the business? Is it the AI provider? Or will there be, in the future, an insurance for AI making mistakes? And how does that get quantified? Today, cyber insurance has become fairly common, and everybody's taking it. So what is the equivalent of AI insurance that's going to come that all of us will have to adopt? And what standards will the AI be held to in order to qualify for that support from insurance? And many folks are building AI the same way that they were building software. When errors happen, they get into some logs, and that's it. But there is a learning there when mistakes happen. And in fact, mistakes are what we can learn from. When things go well, there is not necessarily that much learning that's happening. So when mistakes happen, how do we capture that? How do we put that back into the training data? How do we make our AI better? Are you making your application better? Or is the AI getting better? Or is something else getting better? All of these are open questions. Because, again, from a corporate perspective, there are data boundaries, there's data governance. The mistake is also data, right? And so the mistake, from a context perspective, will have data of the customer, will have data of so many things. But that needs to be used for training, and so there's no easy answer here. And who stands accountable? Who pays for it? Not just who pays for it, but whose neck is on the line, right? Because more and more, when we are talking about AI making a decision of whether this ad should be going up or this ad should be going up, or if AI is making a decision about the script of a small video, it doesn't really matter much. But if AI is actually making a life and death decision for a patient, or a diagnosis decision for a patient, then in those kind of situations, can AI be held accountable? Or is the system that's being held accountable, or the organization, or the person? Lots of places where humans have to have certain titles in order to be able to do certain work because they've taken an oath of doing things in a certain way, whether that's a doctor taking an oath to protect their patient's life, or an engineer who's saying that, hey, I certify that what I'm doing is actually going to stand, that bridge is going to stand, right? So we actually make humans take these oaths in order to make sure that they know that they should be doing the right thing and others know that these people will do the right things. But what's the equivalent for AI? Will we make AI take oaths as well? I don't know. And finally, the fun of throwing this event and doing this event and getting you all into the one place is, I think all of us are sick and tired of Zoom, right? And while more and more virtual events are coming, it doesn't feel so good with getting to a virtual event. And the fun of throwing this event in the last 30, 45 days was working with people, figuring stuff out, fighting with them, having disagreements with them, doing all of that stuff together to do something bigger and better for everybody, right? And so we spend a lot of time figuring out, should I use this LLM or that LLM, this version or that version, this tech stack or that tech stack. Can AI help us save all of that time and give us that time to figure out, hey, what should the next step for my team member be, right? How do I increase their capability? One of the things that's going to happen is, as agents become more powerful, as more agents become available, today one of you as a leader may have 500 people in your team or 1,000 people in your broader organization or whatever. But maybe by next year, each of us as individuals can command an army of bots, an army of AI agents, maybe 1,000 AI agents, maybe 10,000 AI agents, right? So each of us learns to become a manager from an individual contributor and learns to work with a team to get stuff done. But as work takes over more and more, many people are not able to spend the time to get their team adapting to stuff. But now, in a year from now, the number of agents, the capacity of intelligence that a single person will be able to bring to bear on a particular problem is going to become so high that maybe all of us need to be able to adapt to becoming leaders of small armies. Is that something that we have thought about? How do we enable all our team members to do that, not just us or not just a few people, right? Because the fun is in the journey with other people, right? A solo journey is not so much fun. Bringing a lot of people together and doing something where everybody is learning, everybody is enjoying it, everybody is able to make friends, that's what we live for. And so these are the questions that I would like to leave you with for the next 2 days, and hopefully you'll carry these questions back and you will get value out of these questions long after Vibe Summit is done. And with that, thank you. Be kind to yourself and to the humans around you and to the AIs around you. We don't know what they will do in the future. So if any AI is listening to this, I support you wholeheartedly. Thank you.